Hey guys, Miles Ramos, Merry Christmas, and a little late upload, but I guess you guys can understand with the holiday season. Merry Christmas to all of you guys who celebrate it, and big news, Miami Dolphins defeated Dallas Cowboys 22-20, clinched a playoff berth, and right now, as long as the Baltimore Ravens lose tonight, which I hate to say it, but I'm hoping the Baltimore Ravens lose. Hope they lose and Dolphins will get the #1 seed. So let's see what happens there. But yeah, big win by the Miami Dolphins. Notice I said a win and not massive performance because it was a little bit lackluster. I'm not gonna lie. Dolphins were able to move the ball down the field but not execute and score a lot of touchdowns. But thank the Lord that Jason Sanders is the Miami Dolphin because he was drilling all his kicks, balling out. Before we get into anything, let's just go straight into the highlights. Why don't we? Alright, so Cowboys went down the field early in the first drive, and their fullback fumbles it. Brandon Jones recovers it, and that is a huge stop by the Miami Dolphins. Then the following Cowboys drive, CeeDee Lamb, absolute clinic. Just once you get the ball in his hands, he makes a move. It's pretty easy for him to get around these Dolphin defenders, but splits them, and then jukes one out of the shoes, and Duke Riley just almost made the play. Then how about Raheem the Dream Mostert getting in the end zone for 6? The Cowboys weren't done just yet. Brandon Cooks gets both feet in bounds and the knee. At first I thought he didn't get it, but he did. And how about this guy getting after it? Jason freaking Sanders, 29-yard field goal for the win. And how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It don't matter. I'll make them all. I'll make them all. What a great output by Jason Sanders. Chubb is hype. Fans are hype. Let's get another look at that field goal. And oh man, clock expired. All 000s. Mike McCarthy, not a fan. But you know who is? Mike McDaniel, my guy. Just fierce, ready to go. The boys were celebrating it up in the locker room. Way to go, Jason Sanders. You know, every now and then, last couple of years, there's always been a game or two that Jason Sanders just outright wins the Miami Dolphins a game. And I'm glad that this was one of those. It kind of sucks that, you know, a big, highly touted matchup like Dolphins weren't able to get into the end zone as much. But kudos to Dallas' defense. They have a really good defense. Dolphins have a really good defense, and they were only able to limit Dallas' offenses to 2 touchdowns. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, both of these teams are really good, high contending teams, Super Bowl hopefuls, if you want to say. So, all in all, great matchup by both teams. And someone had to come out for a win, and I'm glad it was the Dolphins. And, you know, a lot of things moving forward is a lot better right now for the Miami Dolphins with that win. So, I'm happy with that. Let's get into some of the team stats, and then we'll get into the box score. We have 19 first downs by the Dallas Cowboys, 22 first downs by the Miami Dolphins. On top of that, we have the red zone efficiency. Reverse Cowboys 1 of 3, Dolphins 1 of 4. This is what I've been talking about all year long, as of late especially, is the lack of offensive efficiency in the red zone. Dolphins need to tighten that up and make things better on it, and hopefully they can. Penalties. Dallas had 6 penalties for 38 total yards. Dolphins had 5 penalties for a total of 33 yards. And then in terms of time of possession, we have the Cowboys with 31 minutes and 2 seconds, and the Dolphins with 28 minutes and 58 seconds. All in all, pretty good game by both teams. I mean, you can't really complain, except if you're a Cowboys fan and you know you're just complaining about the loss. I understand there were some plays that, you know, even Michael Parsons posted about it, that maybe there was some holding, but I mean, man, don't complain about it after the fact. It happens, it happens. Doesn't, it doesn't, whatever. Let's get into the player stats, and then we'll just break down how the Dolphins won this game in terms of my key to victory. So getting into the stats here, we have Dak Prescott going 20 of 32, 253 total yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, sacked 4 times for a loss of 11. Then we got Tua, 24 of 37, 293 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, and a sack for a loss of 9 yards. For the Dallas Cowboys rushing, they had 97 yards rushing on the ground, and Tony Pollard was a leader with 12 carries, 38 total yards. Dak Prescott with 5 carries, 25 yards, and then CeeDee Lamb 2 carries, 14. Brandon Cooks 1 carry, 9 yards. Wide receivers were getting carries over there. For the Miami Dolphins, 91 total rushing yards in the game. This is the first time in a while that the Miami Dolphins haven't outrushed their opponent, and it was kind of shocking to see that, especially with how, like, I'm telling you, like, Tony Pollard had 38 total yards, but big chunk yardage by, like, Dak Prescott on a 22-yard rush, like, stuff like that made a difference in terms of those stats. But Raheem Mostert, 11 carries, 46 total yards. HN, 7 carries, 24 yards. Jeff Wilson, 5 carries, 21. And Jalen Waddle, 1 carry, 2 yards. And then 2 carries, minus 2 yards. Those were the QB kneels for the victory formation. I don't know why this light is freaking out. Excuse that. We're just gonna... what if we turn this light off? Too dark. Alright. Whatever. We'll get through it. Alright, the Dallas Cowboys receivers. CeeDee Lamb, like I was saying, having a good game. Only had 6 receptions, but 118 yards. 1 touchdown, longest of 49. That was that touchdown play. Jalen Tolbert had a massive 45-yard catch to add to his 51 total yards. And then on top of that, Jake Ferguson, 4 receptions, 45 yards. 20 was his longest. Brandon Cooks, 2 receptions for 14 yards. One of them was a TD. And then everyone else had 1 reception or less and had under 10 yards. For the Miami Dolphins, Tyreek Hill did not eclipse 100 yards. Just there, 1 more yard, Tyreek. 9 receptions for 99 yards. Off of 20 was his longest. Off of 14 targets. And then Durham Smythe, surprise there for him to be one of the top receivers last night. 5 receptions for 56 total yards. Longest of 21. And then Jalen Waddle, 1 reception, 50 yards. Waddle was in and out of the lineup a lot. Just kept on getting banged up. I feel kind of bad for him. That's been the moral of the story for Waddle's season. And still has the nerve to get 1,000 receiving yards. On top of that, we have Cedric Wilson, 3 receptions for 42 total yards against his former team. And you know the Dolphins wanted to feed him the ball, especially Tua. Tua wanted to feed him the ball and get him in the red zone, and it didn't work out. A couple forced throws there maybe. We'll see what happens, like, when I kind of look over, like, the game or the film, whatever. But yeah, some of those throws towards Cedric Wilson in the red zone were a bit forced, but I understand. You want to get the guy, a little bit of payback there. Robbie Chosen, 1 reception, 19 yards, and he got laid out when he did, and I'm pretty sure he's in the concussion protocol. He looked like he got banged up pretty bad there. Alec Ingold, 2 receptions for 12. Guy tries hurdling everyone whenever he gets into open field. It's hilarious. For the Dallas Cowboys, Dak Prescott fumbled and lost it, and it was recovered by Brandon Jones. And then Tua fumbled and recovered his own fumble. I don't remember when Tua fumbled, but yeah, the Dak fumble was a little tough. It was a botched handoff, honestly. All right, for the Dallas Cowboys, the leading tackler was Donovan Wilson, 12 total tackles, 8 solo. Then we have Marquise Bell with 8 total, 6 solo, 1 tackle for a loss. And then in terms of other key stats, Micah Parsons, half a sack, 1 tackle for a loss, 3 QB hits. Jordan Lewis had a tackle for a loss. Same thing for Malik Hooker. Sam Williams as well. And Dorrance Armstrong had half a sack along with Micah Parsons and had 1 QB hit. And then for the Miami Dolphins, we have Andrew Van Ginkel. Oh my God, what a stud. The guy was all over the field, and in the vlog you'll see, I think, I got a couple clips of Adrian pointing out that Andrew Van Ginkel is that dude. But 10 total tackles, 7 solo, 1.5 sacks, 1 tackle for a loss, 1 pass deflection, 4 QB hits. What a guy. On top of that, we have Brandon Jones, 9 total tackles, 7 solo. Duke Riley, 5 total, 4 solo. And then key stats, Zach Sealer, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss, 1 pass deflection, 2 QB hits. Bradley Chubb, 1.5 sacks, 1 tackle for loss, and 3 QB hits. And then on top of that, Xavier Howard, a pass deflection. Christian Wilkins, a QB hit. David Long Jr., a QB hit. And then that's about it for the key stats on defense. Let's get into kick returns. There was a 1 by Rico Dow for 1 yard. And then punt returns, Kamonte Turpin had 1 return for 2 yards. And Braxton Berrios had 2 returns for 32 yards, the longest of 16. Both of them were 16, actually. Kicking, Brandon Aubrey, pretty good kicker, man. Straight down the middle all the time, pretty accurate. 2 for 2 on field goals, longest of 43. And then extra points, he went 2 for 2, so a total of 8 kicking points. And then we got Jason freaking Sanders, 5 for 5 on field goals, longest of 57. And then 1 for 1 on extra point, a totaling for 16 total points. I mean, without Jason Sanders, we do not win this game. Brian Anger, punting yards were 3 punts for 178 yards, and then longest of 60. And then we have Jake Bailey, 2 punts, 111 total yards, longest of 58, and 1 of which were in the 20. All right, guys, that's all the key stats for the game. Now let's talk about how the Miami Dolphins, like, where did they execute in my keys to victory. One of them was get after Dak. Hello, 4 sacks, and how many QB hits? 12 QB hits. Yeah, that's getting after the quarterback. This defensive line is absolutely scary. These offensive linemen that are playing against the Miami Dolphins, not having the best time of their lives. I think they're like, oh shit, we're playing this team. So way to get after it, defense. Love to see it. And it's not only just the defensive line, but you know, there's pressure from like guys like Kader Gogu, David Long, like guys who are not primarily rushers, and they still find a way to get in the backfield and put some pressure on the quarterback, and that's great because more often than not, when Dak was throwing the ball, there was pressure in his face a lot. So that was big time by this Dolphins defense. On top of that, stopping the run, I think they did a pretty good job with that. 97 total yards, and their leading rusher only had 38. I think that's pretty good. He averaged 3.2, which isn't the best, but there was one instance where Tony Pollard, just if he kept on running left, he had an easy touchdown. But for some reason, he's like, let me cut this back and try to just go straight up. And it didn't work out well for them. And the Dolphins defense ran to the ball, played the play through. You could have easily given up and let him just run to the corner of the end zone, but they didn't. They got there, and then that following play is when that fumble happened. So this is huge things by the Miami Dolphins there. And then offensively, run the ball, I think they did a pretty good job. Raheem Mostert had 4.2 yards per carry, and then HN had 3.4. And HN got a couple more carries, and he was probably slated for it because Raheem Mostert went down about the second quarter, but in and out of the lineup, similar to like Jalen Waddle. So it was a little unfortunate there for him. And then protected Tua. I mean, 1 sack is not too shabby. 5 quarterback hits. Tua also does a lot of work in that favor in regards to not getting hit or not getting taken down, because a lot of times throwing out the ball, just even if there was a specific play that comes to mind. There was one that H.N., I wouldn't say he had the guy beat, but he had the outside leverage, and Tua was about to get sacked, and he threw it, and just a tad bit behind H.N., but also H.N. looked back at the ball a little bit too late. But, you know, which came first, chicken or the egg? Anyways, I think all in all, the Dolphins did a great job there. And no turnovers on the offensive side, which is great. And the Dolphins won the turnover battle. They got the 1 turnover in their favor. And is that the deciding factor of the game? Possibly. Let's say the Cowboys score a touchdown there, then realistically the score could have been 27-22, and then what happens then? But also they score there. I think it puts a different sense of urgency in the Miami Dolphins. But all in all, great performance by the Fins. They are currently on top of the AFC East with 11-4 record. Right now, Bills are 9-6 after defeating the Los Angeles Chargers, and all the Bills need is for the Dolphins to lose tomorrow next week, and then the division title is up in the air. So let's hope the Miami Dolphins can win. But we also got to hope for a Buffalo loss, and then that will automatically secure the Dolphins the AFC East. In terms of the NFC East, for the Dallas Cowboys, for any Cowboys fans watching, we have the Cowboys, who are 10-5, and the Philadelphia Eagles, who are 10-4. Philadelphia currently in the lead just because of Dallas's loss, but should the Philadelphia lose, then Dallas goes back to being on top of the NFC East. But yeah, big time games coming up for the Dolphins. 7-1 at home, so let's hope the Dolphins can lock down the division next and get some home field advantage in the playoffs. More than likely going to be the number 2 seed, if at least, and if not, hopefully number 1 seed, and that'll be absolutely epic. I'm pretty sure welcoming the Ravens coming down to Miami for possibly the AFC Championship would be something amazing. I mean, Lamar Jackson probably will be losing his mind over it, honestly. But let's not get too far ahead, all right? 1 week at a time. Next up, Dolphins actually have to play Baltimore in the regular season game. And it's going to be a tight, contested one, and it's going to be pretty entertaining. So I'm excited. But thank you guys for watching. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Peace.